Welcome, everyone, to the Indie Reds podcast. I'm your host, Joe Dilling. With me was supposed to be Michael Need and Brian Smith, but Michael's got the and decided that it'd be best if he just stayed out of the podcasting closet, and it's just Brian and I crammed in here tonight. So it's been a bit since we last spoke, so tonight we're going to speak extremely briefly on Monterrey, Flamengo, Leicester City, and the Wolves match from the weekend. Brian, let's just jump right in, buddy.
Let's do it. I've got the too, but I'm going to drink through it. So
all right.
I think we can make this happen.
Okay. So as I said, we're going to make this very brief. So I'm going to kind of give my match analysis, and then Brian can agree or disagree. So my thought on the match.
I disagree.
You disagree? Well, you've seen the outline, so we'll see where this goes from here.
I don't read those things.
All right.
No,
so,
go ahead. Monterrey. It was a while back, so
yeah,
take
it
us
was.
through it.
So basically, my thought throughout the whole match was it felt very much like a U.S. men's national team versus insert a CONCACAF team, maybe other than Mexico, but even Mexico at times. So basically what I feel like happens, and this kind of was an epiphany for me, and maybe other people have had this before, but U.S. men's national team will go into the game being the superior team. They have a game plan, a style of play that they want to play, and then the CONCACAF team will flip and flop more than an Italian side or even a Spanish side, and probably even more than Neymar. They'll do things like they'll foul you and then roll on the ground so that you get called for the foul. They will do atrocious things like flying to James Milner and still happen to escape a card. It throws off the team and their game plan and everything that they even expect on how to play. They question how they should play. And I felt that this was what was happening with Liverpool while they were playing Monterrey. Liverpool ended up being victorious, so it was rather a moot point in the end. But Brian, do you kind of feel that it was the same way?
Yeah, I do. I think you coined the term CONCACAF, which is I don't know, my favorite new adjective, I think. But yeah, you're right. And I know we have some listeners over in Europe and some other places as well. CONCACAF is the FIFA Confederation here, North America and Central America. And I was trying to think today of kind of a European equivalent. I don't know that there really is, but some of the Central American teams in particular, smaller nations here, will just hack you and dive and fall around and complain, and it can throw a good team off their game, and I think at times it did throw us off. But you're right, it was just kind of a strange match. It wasn't particularly fun to watch, and I'm glad we won anyway. But I definitely CONCACAF. I think you're spot on.
Ox gets injured and is looking at another expended spell on the sidelines. He stayed, didn't head back early. Saw him in a walking boot, celebrating the team. We'll get there in a bit, but we didn't really escape unscathed. Also, Virgil sat out. He picked up an illness. I tend to get sick when I fly a lot, so that's kind of one of the things that I kind of relate. Brian doesn't always agree with me on my feelings of travel time and tiredness, but that's neither here nor there. So moving on to Flamengo, Virgil was back, and then I thought Liverpool were dominant, but they just couldn't finish. And then the game goes to extra time, and Bobby has a great flick goal in the 99th minute. Liverpool are your World Club World Cup champions. There we go. Great to add another trophy to the case. So, Brian, any thoughts on this match? Players who you thought played well, anything along those lines?
It was important to have Virgil back, as you mentioned. It was good to see Joe in there again. I thought he had a good match. I found it to be an interesting game. Flamengo, from everything I've read and from traveling Scousers, had tons of supporters there. I mean, this was kind of a big game for them.
Yeah.
And I thought they had some good moments. I mean, they definitely had some shots and forced Allison to make some saves, and we had some chances as well. I kind of went into this game just watching it at Union Jack in beautiful Broad Ripple, as we call it. I just kind of felt like it almost felt like a free hit kind of game where, if we win it, great. If we didn't, okay, that's fine. And as the game went on and on and on, it was closer and closer. Just the tension just kind of built and built. I really wanted to win it, we all went nuts when Bobby finally found the net there in extra time. And I wasn't even that bothered that we were playing an extra 30 minutes, with lots of other games looming. But great to see the team lift another trophy. And that's 3 kind of dancing trophy lifts for Hendo in about 6 months or whatever it was. So,
right around there.
That's fantastic. But, it was good to see Bobby play well in this tournament and kind of get the winner. He scored the winner late against Monterey and almost stoppage time. Might have been 80, 90 or 89th minute, 90th minute, whatever it was.
It was 99th minute. So it was
the winner against Flamengo. And then Mo got the Golden Mo Award, or the guy named Mo Salah Award, or whatever the heck he won. I know Bobby didn't start the first match, but he scored the game-winning goals in basically a 2-game tournament. So,
one of the
we won it, and for the first time ever, and it was great to see.
Yeah, it was great to add that trophy onto the wall at Melwood and the academy as well. The one thing is that they kept talking about was the love for Mo Salah in the stadium. Basically, he's Arabic as well as most of the people that were there in Qatar. So there's a lot of love for Mo Salah in that region of the world, even though he's technically classified as African since Egypt is in Africa, but they are more Arabic, I guess, than or consider Egypt being Arabic. So there's a lot of discussion on that. We kept hearing, seeing guys like James Pierce talk about it, as well as other podcasts that actually can afford to send people to to Qatar in December. So,
we were going to go, but
there's a little thing called Christmas and work and a few other things. So,
and water heaters.
Yeah, water heaters. Yes, exactly.
Yes.
All right, so Leicester City, moving on. I find it interesting that elites go fox hunting on Boxing Day. Why? Because the elite club did their own fox hunting on Boxing Day. The Reds traveled to the East Midlands to face second-place Leicester City Foxes. Despite a loss to Manchester City on the weekend prior, Leicester were not to be overlooked. Jamie Ratface Vardy had been playing very well since I dropped him from my fantasy team, and they are in second place. So we tend to struggle to King Power. I remember going there a few times, only squeezing out a draw. The year where Leicester won, I think we drew him, but Jamie Vardy had a ridiculous volley from like the halfway point let's just put it this way, at the beginning of the final third. I mean, it was ridiculous. Really far out and just chips. I think that might have been, was that Mignolet at the time? But anyway, it was ridiculous. Anyway, plus we never know really what kind of tricks Rodgers has up his sleeves. So I was very worried about being rested enough for the match. We were out late in Qatar. A long flight back Monday, I believe it was Monday, and then they also played 120 minutes on top of that, celebrating and all that. So, Brian, how were you feeling about the tiredness?
Well, I certainly thought it was going to be a factor. Like you, I was a little bit worried about this going into the game, and Klopp's been doing a really nice job of rotating the right players at the right time in the right positions lately, so I was confident that was going to be okay. And Virgil didn't play 2 games in Qatar. Not a whole lot of guys did play 2 games there, and also started against Leicester. So, it's the first place team against the second place team. It's a big game for them. It's a 6-pointer, so to speak. And if you'd offered me a draw at the start of the game, or before the game even started, I might have taken it. And I was just hoping, not to give them 3 points is all I was really worried about. But we certainly came out flying, didn't we?
We sure did, man. I mean, very quickly, and we have 3 really good chances. I put in the first 10 minutes, but I think it might have even been in the first 5 minutes. We have 3 really solid chances. It also almost looked to me that Liverpool were carving through the Leicester midfield and completely bypassing it. They had no presence in their midfield. They went heavy up top. They moved James Maddison up top. They had some young kid also. I'm sorry, the name's escaping me, with Jamie Vardy. and the three of them were trying to counter, but Rodgers was dropping everybody back and then just trying to do a quick 3 counter. Almost kind of like feeling like he's kind of trying to copy what Klopp does, but it wasn't coming off for them. But the first goal finally comes in the 31st minute. It starts as a decently defended corner kick by Leicester. Ball does not, but they don't get it cleared. The ball falls to Trent, who is on the left and whips it back post, finds Bobby's head. If it doesn't get Bobby, Mo Salah's right there. 1-0 Liverpool, and we're singing his song at UJ's. A lot of criticism about Bobby before the Club World Cup. He hadn't scored. He looked frustrated on the pitch. His flicks and tricks weren't coming off. He scores in the Club World Cup and 2 in this match. We'll get to it in a bit. I might have actually repeated this down later, but anyway, yeah. So do you think, Brian, he's back to being Bobby? What do you think about this?
It sure seemed like it. I've said on a couple of pods that even though the scoring numbers weren't there and maybe the shots were a little bit low, even the assists were a little bit low, he was being effective. He was really he had an excellent first half. He kind of dictated what Leicester's back four needed to do with the ball and limited the options they had, putting the ball into the midfield far, far better than all three of the Leicester's players up front were doing to us.
Yeah.
And he's one of the best in the world at that, in that position, tracking back in the midfield and causing problems, or, forcing a guy in the, one of the two center backs to do what he wants them to do with the ball, and maybe what the rest of the team is set up to expect or needs him to do. He's just, as you know, I love the guy, and it was great to see him get that first goal. It was a terrific header too. That ball's coming in. It didn't clear that defender's head by much, and he got a ton of it. He headed it down into the keeper's left in the corner. Schmeichel got a foot to it, I think, just a tiny piece of it.
Might have, yeah.
Yeah, it was a great header, and it's 1-0, and at that point, we're playing so well, and it's only 1-0 at halftime, right? So I'm telling people at UJ's that, if you'd offered me a draw, I told Jim this, I would have taken a draw before the match, but it's 1-0 and we're dominating. Screw that. Let's kind of go after him. And in hindsight, it's kind of easy to say that, but I really was thinking it. We were just all over him, and Mo had that kind of breakthrough or breakaway chance where he kind of went around the keeper and tried to finish from like a 2-degree angle again and put in the side netting. And, Bobby put one over the top early, and Mane had one, kind of a long ball through that he just kind of miskicked and put it wide after a really good run. So we could do whatever we want. Keita was just shining everywhere and feeding great balls and beating guys off the dribble. I mean, we had everybody that was just firing all cylinders. And Genie and Hendo weren't, unbelievable, but we didn't need them to be, because we had 4, 5, 6 other guys that were terrific. I mean, Robbo's causing them problems. Trent's causing them problems. I kind of was a little bit worried for a few seconds it was only 1-0, because, just a set piece can do something, or a bad call, or somebody, you get a bad bounce or something like that. And Vardy's good at those kind of chances when he gets them. But, 1-0 at the half, and we're flying at that point.
Yeah, I have Liverpool clearly dominant heading in and out of the half. So, yeah, Leicester has some good attacking chances coming out later in the second half. One is actually saved by Virgil's Van Dijk, but really good play by the back four defensively all match. Liverpool earn a pen right after a Leicester player, who I won't try to mention, handles the ball in the box. Milner, having just come on for Naby Keita, steps up and fires it past a flailing Kasper Schmeichel. VAR looked at it, deemed a handball, but Schmeichel was lamenting post-match that it wasn't. Brian, why was Kasper Schmeichel wrong on this?
Yeah, he's completely wrong. He actually saw a quote, I think it's real, that he said that they were in the match until the referee decided to be a hero, or decided to draw attention to himself, or something like that. That be a hero doesn't sound quite right to me, but just insinuating the referee's trying to make the match about him more so than about the players, or whatever you want to call it. That's just absurd. But that defender's name, I believe, is pronounced Soyuncu, and he's terrific. He's kind of has a really bad King Arthur haircut, which I know you probably would take it, Joe, if you were offered it. But he's a good player. He's fast. He ran down, was it Salah once in the in the second half and kind of closed him down. He's a good player. It's definitely a handball. I mean, this is not. We've seen Trent handle a ball this year that was kind of close range, and this is not close range. This is from a corner kick, and he's standing at the top of a 6-yard box, leaning to the side. Probably a good foot or so, and kind of chicken winging his arm out there. Absolutely handball. I can't believe that anyone, after seeing it, even someone that should be biased like Schmeichel, is kind of complaining about it and saying it wasn't a handball. It definitely was. That's a handball in, I think, every match in the world.
He's moving to it. I mean, that's the thing. He's moving to it. He's not really trying to get his arm out of the way. It flies back behind his back, but I think it was just from a little bit of it was limp, and he had some force going behind it, and it kind of moved it back behind his arm, or he moved it after he hit it. It was just, I don't know what he was playing at. It was completely stupid, but his dad played for Manchester United, so it is what it is.
Yeah, well, I think Soyuncu, was surprised by Trent's corner. We know Trent can really whip a ball in there, and plenty of pace on it, and curve and dip. It almost looks like that he goes to try to head this ball. When he starts with the lean, he realizes, oh shit, this thing's coming in hot, and it dips down, or it's lower than what he expected, and if that's kind of a high looping ball, he probably just heads it away. But Trent whipped it in there, and shame he doesn't get an assist for it because he pretty much creates the penalty. But tell me about this penalty. I was a little worried about it. Milner had not had a touch yet. That was his first touch, was taking that penalty.
But Brian, it's James Milner. He doesn't miss. I'm knocking on wood. He steps up. He's cool. He does his little stutter / slip that he does every single time. I think Schmeichel goes a bit early. And Milner's just like, okay, cool. You're going to your left, my right. I'm just going to kind of put it a little off center to the left, and just puts it right in. I mean, calm as you like. He didn't have to do anything really at all. Just kind of passes it into the net because Schmeichel's already on his ass.
I guess Schmeichel did go early. If he doesn't go early, it might be a pretty easy save. I don't think it was a terrific penalty, but if he goes early, then it's...
Yeah, I think it walked back.
Maybe James saw him going early, and then he decided, anywhere on the other half of the goal, and I'm good. Because he kind of cut across and kind of spun it kind of sideways, or like complete side spin, and it was very central. But Schmeichel's nowhere near it, and he's over by the post crying for his daddy.
All right, so Reds are 2 up, and we're happy. We'll probably take it easy the last 20 minutes. So a lot of us are thinking, nope. Liverpool score twice more before the clock strikes 80 minutes. Another Trent assist to Bobby. I watched it again. There was a little clip going around. It was just Trent versus Leicester. He is running down the sideline. He completely clear. First time crosses it diagonally across the box, and it finds Bobby's feet. And actually, Bobby kind of flicks it with the outside of his foot, and volleys
brilliant
it
first
in.
Touch.
It was really heads up and really awesome. It was pretty awesome to see. So I loved seeing it. Good for Bobby. He scored a brace. Really happy to see him do that too, especially under the criticism. But then, man, Trent is not much later.
Well, before you do that, Joe, Bobby's celebrations go over and give Klopp a big hug. I've been talking about, Bobby, just a few little tweaks to kind of get back to the top of his game, so to speak. I guess they had a little meeting, and obviously it worked out. So, they celebrate together on the sideline, but we weren't done because the big man at right back is about to do something special.
Oh, man, he comes streaming down the right side. I don't think I've seen him move that fast, screaming for the ball. They give it to him, and he just – it might have been 1 or 2 touches, if that, and he nutmeg goals a dude, and there's no chance for Schmeichel.
It was his first touch. That was the first
It was his first touch
shot.
Oh, man,
yeah.
just beautiful, beautiful goal. I would say goal of the year candidate, but we had some really awesome ones last year or this year so far. But yeah, it was a great shot. I love a nutmeg goal.
Goal of the month, maybe. Certainly a goal of the month.
We'll give
candidate.
you goal of the month. I'll give you goal of the month. Yeah, for sure. So it was just, and that's all she wrote. Liverpool goes 13 points clear of second place Leicester City with a game in hand. I was quite impressed with the defense in this match. So, Brian, what were kind of your thoughts of the defense as a whole?
It was solid. I mean, this is a team that had been flying high. I know that City just got 3 on them, and we put up 4. So I don't want to say they've necessarily been exposed or they were kind of punching above their weight. I know they hadn't played a whole lot of really, really tough teams because I had those of you that played fantasy football out there, I had Schmeichel as a goaltender, and he was scoring lots of points because they hadn't played a ton of big teams for about 7 or 8 match days or so. But they caused us almost no problems at all. We dominated everywhere. Our front 3 dominated their back line. Our midfield dominated their midfield, and it was only 3 of us, and a lot of times 4 of them in midfield. And their forwards, even when their wide players would get forward out of their midfield and kind of join Vardy up there, weren't troubling our back 4 at all. And that's with Andy and Trent just flying up the field whenever the hell they wanted.
Yeah.
So I mean, Gomez and Virgil were immense. We had guys that were fantastic, absolutely everywhere.
Joe Gomez
what a performance!
Joe Gomez was great. He had a rat in his pocket all day. And it was great to see. We already talked about Virgil's save, crotch save, and he was everywhere he needed to be. Joe picked up a yellow card, and Bryan, I watching it, I was like, no. And then we saw the replay, and I was really saying that was ridiculous. It wasn't even a foul. Jamie Vardy goes down under minimum contact, if any, and Joe Gomez gets a yellow card. Bryan, what was your take, man? Are you like me? Are you in the same boat, or tell me why I'm wrong?
Well, I can see why the referee gave it, I guess is how I'm looking at it. It was a good touch by Vardy to get the ball past Gomez. And, Vardy was turned and ready to go after that ball, and Gomez is kind of in the way and a little bit wrong-footed. But, there's not a whole lot of contact there, and Vardy ends up on the turf. I'll give him credit for not throwing both of his arms skyward like an Arsenal player or a United player and, jumping into the air with both feet, even though there's no contact. Maybe a little bit of contact with Joe's trailing leg, on Vardy's, first step as he tried to go past him, but not very much. I guess maybe I could see it maybe given as a foul, but I certainly don't think it was a yellow, and I think it was barely a foul, if that. Yeah. And that's what I can't. Is it 3-0 at that point? Is it still 2-0? I don't even remember. Joe.
I think it might have been 2-0.
How much? Yeah, so much. We're so happy about the rest of the performance. We don't even remember the the order other than the goals. But that's the only thing Gomez did all day that wasn't probably perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. Brian Henderson picked up an injury. We now know it was nothing, but at the time I was kind of afraid. You kind of see his knee move, especially on the kneecap area. It turns out he's fine, but man, I was sweating that one quite a bit.
Oh, me too. I don't know if you heard our good friend Neil Kalupe. Neil, he hasn't been on the pod in quite a while because he's been an Indy Red for a long time, and now he's over in Ohio. He came back for the match and watched with us, and actually played at quite a high level, played at the collegiate level, and is a really good player. If you ever get a chance to play some futsal or Union Jack Cup with him or whatever, he really knows what he's doing. And he kind of pointed out on the replay before anybody saw it, especially when they're showing the slow-mo replay, Hendo's knee kind of jiggles, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that's something really serious.
It might be a career ender. I mean, with his age,
Yeah, I'm surprised that it wasn't because it looked bad. It looked really bad, and he's okay, I guess. So,
thank goodness.
yeah. How about that? I mean, we're praising this midfield for match after match after match, and Hendo's playing a big role. It was great to see Hendo and Keita and Gini in there together. I still say our best midfield when everyone's fit is going to be Fabinho and Gini and Keita, especially with the way Keita's playing. But you have to give Hendo credit here. He's doing a great job filling in for Fabinho, and he's probably going to have to do it for a little while longer, and let's hope he can.
Well, the good news is today, we'll just go ahead and jump to it. Fabinho was at the match without a boot.
Union Jack?
No,
he was not.
He was at Anfield for Wolverhampton match with Rebecca, and he's looking good. And they said that he's up and walking around, and it looks like maybe another week or two before he's training with the team. So sooner rather than later. So that's good to see. It really is good to see. And Minamino comes in. Well, heck, depending on when you listen to this, he might already be with the team. But January 1st isn't registered in time to play against Sheffield, but can play against Everton, and we'll get to that after a bit. So sticking with Leicester, Bryan, can you give man of the match to anybody besides Trent?
No, there's just no possible way. I mean,
he was
a
amazing.
Terrific goal, 2 unbelievable assists, and a terrific corner that got us a penalty. I mean, he's involved in all 4 goals. He I thought about it for a couple of days, and it's flying around social media and talk of he'll be a midfielder someday, he'll be a captain someday, he's going to be wearing the number 8 for England or the 4 like Gerrard used to, or all these things could take place. But I'm just kind of focusing on the here and now. That this dude absolutely dominated a match from right back, which I can't remember the last time I saw anybody do that at any level, in any league. I mean, he absolutely dominates the match from right back.
Straight ridiculous.
He's 21.
Just turned 21.
Yeah, just turned. I mean, it's just
ridiculous.
It's. I'm still having a hard time wrapping my mind around it, and I've been thinking about it for 5 or 6 days. It was just a ridiculous performance, and that final goal we talk about it. What a great way to cap off a wonderful day, and there's nobody on that's a football fan, anyone on earth that doesn't know who this guy is now.
No, and I mean
he's just.
And to be honest, I just got FIFA 20, and his rating is there to prove it. I mean, you can tell that Liverpool won the Champions League last year because you can't buy any of the players. they're all ridiculously priced on foot. But
to go on record, I don't think we should move him out of right back anytime soon.
I don't think so either.
Let him do what he's doing. I like him with all that space in front of him, and he chooses when to go into it with the ball, without the ball, like we saw on this goal, or even without the ball, to get forward and be an outlet and be dangerous and whip balls in. I want him doing that with the space in front of him at this level, as opposed to playing that kind of right-sided midfield of a right part of a 3 or whatever it happens to be. Even like a 4-2-3-1, there's people talking about putting him on the right side of the 3. I don't want him there. I want him in the back 4. We've got a good enough center defensive mid trio that can fill in there wherever between Hendo and Gini, and of course Fabinho's one of the best in the world at it. Mm-hmm. And our center backs are fantastic, even though we're a little bit thin right now. I want Trent just bombing up and down the right wing as a right back and doing whatever the hell he wants, whenever the hell he wants to do it. I want to see that for the next 5, 6, 7 years. I don't want that to change, but that's me. What do you think?
We'll see what happens.
Tell me why I'm wrong, Joe.
No, I think when Klopp finally hangs up his coaching hat and New Balance sneakers, which will probably be Nike sneakers this time next year, the next coach will evaluate where he wants Trent Alexander-Arnold to play. I think as long as you're in Klopp's coach, Trent's going to be right back. I think they're both okay with that. I mean, granted, he said he idolized Steven Gerrard. I mean, who didn't idolize Steven Gerrard? I have no problem with with our right back being a captain when you're Trent Alexander-Arnold. So sure, the way he can dominate a game at 21, let's just put it that way, at 21 from right back. We talked about
against a terrific opponent away.
Yeah. Don't forget his first match was at Old Trafford, and he put on a show. I mean, seriously, at 19. It's just ridiculous. And I mean, in the year that we lost to Real Madrid, everyone was talking about Marcelo. Marcelo couldn't do what Trent Alexander-Arnold did, let alone at 21. Yeah, amazing. Let's leave him. You don't fix
if it ain't broke.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, seriously, leave it like it is.
Trying to think of other 21-year-olds that we've had that have done things that there's certainly no one in the back line.
I mean, Steven Gerrard was just coming on at 21.
Sorry?
Steven Gerrard was just coming on at 21.
Yeah. I mean, Michael Owen was in the World Cup before that.
Yeah.
Robbie Fowler had 2 30-goal seasons, 3 30-goal seasons at 19, 20, and 21.
But those are strikers.
But, these are strikers. These are guys that are, taking advantage of pace and finishing, things like that. Trent, isn't the most, all around defensive right back in the world, but he has everything else in his game that you would want. Like you said, if it's not broke, let's not fix it and let's keep him there. He's just, what a performance, and absolutely man of the match. I'm not even going to ask you if you're going to give it to anybody else, because you can't possibly give it to anybody else.
And that's including that Bobby had a brace. I mean, usually a guy gets a brace, you're like, yes, that's it. But Trent was involved in all 4 goals. I mean, this is ridiculous. From right back.
I think I said on the last podcast a brace for Bobby. I don't quite remember. I might have just been saying that out of hope. But, Bobby gets a brace, and we dominate, and Trent's man of the match. He was just incredible.
All right, Brian, let's move on to Wolverhampton from Sunday. So Liverpool head into the match top of the league and 13 points clear with a game in hand. Wolves are playing good football, and their match previous was a come-from 2-goal down win to beat the Blue Mancunians. They've advanced to the knockout stages of the UEFA League. And the current at that time, I haven't looked since, they sat in 5th, only 2 points out of the top 4. So that was after the Friday match. So I didn't look afterwards. So after the match, so Liverpool. Oh my gosh, just close that. All right, so Liverpool head out roughly 3 days after their last match, and for Wolves, it was less than 48 hours. The first half was mostly dominated by LFC. However, there were 2 goals in which VAR played a part. So Brian and I are really tired. I'm tired of it.
Wait, what's VAR? What is this you're talking about? Never heard of it.
Video assisted referee.
Oh.
So we refused to talk about it last time, but I don't think we can avoid it this time. So the first goal in question, Adam Lallana chests down a ball which falls to Bobby. Bobby plays a great ball to Mane, who is onside and scores. Anthony Taylor initially calls a handball. VAR looks at it and sees that the ball hits Lallana's shoulder. And as we are all saying at Union Jack Pub in beautiful Broad Ripple, if a shoulder or an armpit can be offsides or play you onsides, it counts as part of the playable body. VAR agrees, confirms, goal, Liverpool. There were also shouts after the match we were hearing, and some of the players from Wolves were saying it during the match, that Virgil's Van Arm touched the ball in the build-up to the goal. So, Brian, what's your thoughts on that supposed Virgil Van Arm ball?
Well, that's the one out in the center circle when the ball kind of comes to him, and it takes a weird little skip, and nobody's around him, so he just kind of takes a kind of a casual touch and it bounces up in the air, right? Well, you can get still pictures that are all over social media. It looks like he's, massaging the ball like he's in a parlor or something, but
with his bicep.
Yeah, but that's just the angle that it's being taken from. So, I can go to Paris and you can take a picture of me and it looks like I'm jumping taller than the Eiffel Tower if you get the angle just right. So,
or you're holding it between 2 fingers, right?
Yeah, or exactly. You get the angle right, you can make it look like whatever you want. So there's other angles and videos out there and things on social media where it shows almost like maybe from the right back's perspective, looking up towards Virgil, or maybe from our midfielder looking across at him, and he doesn't handle the ball. He just doesn't. So it is kind of an awkward touch, and it kind of bounces up, and he gets his kind of arm and chest out of the way, lets it drop, and just plays on. So that wasn't a handball, and neither was Lallana's. I mean, it's a good ball over the top, I believe, from Virgil actually, after the supposed handball. I might be getting that wrong. Forgive me, but Lallana's absolutely on his shoulder and immediately over to Mane. You can score with your shoulder. You can assist the ball with your shoulder like Lallana just did. VAR did exactly what it's supposed to do here.
Yep.
There's guys that have scored goals in this league this year with their shoulder that have gone for headers where they're they're facing goal, the ball's coming from left to right, and they're trying to flick it to the far post, with the kind of top right side of their forehead, and they'll miss it, or they'll be late on it, and they'll miss the head, and it'll go in off their right shoulder. That's happened this year. It escapes me right now. It's a guy in a blue shirt, and I'll have to look it up and maybe put it on our some of our social media accounts. But guys have scored in this league this year with their shoulder. So Lallana can definitely pass the ball to Mane with his shoulder. That's perfectly legal within the laws of the game. VAR did exactly what it's supposed to do and got it right. Goal for Liverpool, 1-0.
1-0. So Liverpool fail to adequately, there we go, Joe, clear the ball, and it swing. Okay, and Wolverhampton end up swinging out to the wing where Johnny swings a long diagonal cross, and it's missed by every single Liverpool player. And Neto slots far post past Allison. Initially on the field, it's called a goal. VAR looks at it, and Johnny is offsides by a very fine margin. Brian, was this the right call?
Well, by the offside law, as it is currently written and interpreted in every league and by FIFA, and by the way the VAR is used in this league right now, yes, it's offside.
By a toe. I mean, literally, it's like by a toe. He is offside.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting because this goal and the one that came about 35 minutes after this in the Sheffield and City match, that Sheffield had a goal disallowed that would have given them the lead for a very similar margin. We've seen very close ones on Firmino with this. I'm not even going to call it the armpit. It's the top of the shoulder, and it's unfortunate that people are calling it armpit. It's kind of comical at this point, but because your armpit is the top of your shoulder, same damn thing. But they're measuring this down to millimeters or half an inch, and by the letter of the offside law, then that is offside. So whether you want to debate that it should be written that way, whether you want to debate that VR should be looking at things that way, whether you want to debate if the guy drawing the lines is choosing the correct frame to draw his lines on, because we're getting down to the millimeter on where the player's toes are, or shoulder or head or foot or whatever it is, and the toe of the defender or the hip or the knee or whatever. We're getting down to the millimeter there, but they're stopping the frame and the ball's a blur.
Yep.
When the guy's playing the ball in, especially if you're playing it at pace. So, there is some human error there that I think needs addressed. And, the FA or the league's going to have to do that. They're not going to do it mid-season.
No.
They're not going to do it January. But by the letter of the law, it is offside, and it's very, very close. And we were fortunate, and, we were happy about it at UJ's for sure. What I find funny is every team has supporters, and you can see videos being taken inside grounds and some of the world-renowned podcasters that are over in Liverpool and other clubs as well, recording people screaming, yelling, fuck VAR and all this kind of stuff. But then the next match they're cheering for, and they absolutely love it. It's become almost entertaining to just watch people swing, 180 degrees one way to the other. But it's going to be old pretty soon, I think, for me. And I'm a VR advocate, as you know, but I don't find myself cheering for it one day and hating it the next. I just try to understand how it's being implemented and accept the decisions that are being made. I don't really think that they've ever made a decision that was completely incorrect based on what the laws are and how VR is being used right now. I understand why every decision was made, except for maybe one crooked line on Bobby that Atkinson drew.
Yeah.
But the rest of them, I really understand why the decision was made, how it was made. But that's just me. I know not everybody agrees with me. In fact, a lot of people vehemently disagree with me. But there's been a lot of discussion about this particular goal. I mean, what are your thoughts on
watching it live,
being level 1-1, and then all of a sudden we're back to 1-0 again?
I mean, Brian, I was ecstatic. Let me just be honest with you. I thought we were completely beat, and we completely fell asleep on it, and were complete trash, and I was frustrated. And then they come back, and I was like, because he seriously looked onside when they played the ball, and just watching the replay back until they start freezing it down and drawing the lines and all that stuff, he looks onside when the ball's played. To me, I mean, granted, I wear glasses, so I don't have perfect eyesight. I was watching in a bar, probably the furthest I could be away from a television in the room. And but
we almost had to watch it on standard definition because Need had us all jacked up until we gave him a bunch of shit, and he fixed it, and then he broke it, and then he fixed it again.
Oh, man. He acts like he owns the place or something. Anyway, And I don't know, man. It was just kind of like yeah, his toe then comes back, and it's a toe. He's offside. I can see why Wolverhampton fans are upset. I can't see why everybody else in the league is upset, which we'll get to our next topic in a minute. But I'm just done. I'm just done with VAR. I'm tired of it being a topic every week, and sadly, it still remains a topic. I mean, there are national headlines that are calling us Liverpool, and people going off and saying ridiculous things like,
conspiracy
theories. Liverpool paid off the FA. Liverpool is going to benefits the most from VAR. But when people actually bring out statistics, Liverpool will still be in first place by a fine margin and only have a difference of 4 points. Right, Brian?
Fine margin meaning a healthy margin, not fine like an offside margin.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen, VAR adjusted tables or whatever you want to call them that, every one of them were still in first place. And I've noticed some point differences, slightly different. No, not by more than a point or two. One would say we have a 10-point lead, another one would say we have 13 or, whatever it was. There are some clubs that are, plus 6 points on the VAR table and some that are minus. There's no conspiracy here. It's hilarious that so a lot of people are bringing it up, but I truly believe that some people actually have talked themselves into that this is a real thing, that we're benefiting from more than other teams. And whether you think that's because of a certain reason or an FA or a conspiracy or whatever, some people really believe that we're only in first place because of VAR, which is uninformed and jealous and really quite silly and embarrassing for people that are bringing that up. And I say that, as a Liverpool supporter and frequent podcaster, so I'm biased as hell. But if you look at it objectively, we're not benefiting from it, a lot at all. So
they've said, Brian, there is another table that's been circulating, and it lists favorable versus unfavorable VAR calls.
Okay, so kind of awards you a goal or takes one away from your opponent kind of thing. Okay.
And
I don't know if I've seen this one.
Liverpool and Manchester City both have 0. They're net 0 on it. So I mean, you see other teams that are a lot on the other side of it. So I mean, it is what it is. I think a lot of this saltiness that we're seeing, Brian, it's Manchester United fans, but more Manchester City fans, because they don't get how this team that Pep Guardiola assembled for like $1 billion can not easily win the league.
Yeah, you're right. They have not.
Of course, they've only
sold
been
a lot of players
football
for a lot of profit. They're buying whoever they want, and you know what? Let's be honest. I'm jealous of that. It'd be great if we could spend $100 million, tomorrow when it's January, but we're not going to be able to do that. And I get it, but
I don't know if I want my club
I'm not going to slam their team. They're an excellent team. And I didn't slam them, the last couple of years. I wanted to spend that money. We didn't have it. Fine. But, what Klopp has done with this team and this budget is fantastic. And this team is playing unbelievable football right now and running away with it. And, we're not going to get into, the what ifs. I don't think we're going to do that tonight. But, we're not saying it publicly. We've all thought about it. And I think the team is handling all that, behind closed doors quite well. But, yeah, if you let me, I have a VAR idea, or at least a couple that I think are worth pondering. Well, we don't like this millimeter thing, and I get it. And I talk about the ball being blurred, and are they picking the right frame? And we've seen crooked lines, but generally speaking, I think it works pretty well. It solves more problems than it causes. But this offside thing, so Graham Souness had an idea today, which I think is quite interesting. I don't know if you saw this or not, but he's suggesting you have not, or you have.
I don't believe I have.
Well, he kind of, I'm equating it to goal line technology or just a goal line rule where the whole of the ball has to be across the whole of the line. So his idea is every part of the attacking player has to be beyond every part of the defender. So imagine drawing the line on the defender like we do now on the defender's knee or toe, whatever it is, and the whole of the attacker has to be across the whole of the defender or across that entire line. So you have to be really offside to be offside, which is interesting. I think that's one way you could go. Mm-hmm. So in other words, if the defender's standing, kind of straight up and down, or let's just say the defender's running, if I have my head and both shoulders and my left leg and past that line offside, but my right hip and my right leg and my right foot are even with the guy, then I'm on, because the entire attacker has to be offside for the guy to be off, which is one interesting idea.
It's interesting. I don't think I buy it.
It's a bit much. I mean, it's pretty extreme, but you'll still end up with maybe the only thing that's keeping me onside is going to be my right toe, and every other part of me is offside. And then now you're back to millimeters again. Yep. So that could potentially be a problem. But in that case, I'm only, I'm 99% offside and 1% onside in the goal stands, instead of being 99%, onside like that Wolves player, and only 1% offside like his toe was. So I think some people that are, just like to complain could handle it, his situation a little bit better. But I've also heard of measure with the feet only, because it's easy to draw lines on toes. Yeah. And you'll have a player with a head that's offside, or maybe a knee, or a shoulder or a torso or something like that. But I think it's easier to draw these lines on the toes and the feet, or the heel, or whichever way the guy's facing. Mm-hmm. So that might be a little bit more accurate, which is kind of interesting. I've been talking with some people about that. Here's another idea, though.
Go for it.
No lines, no nothing. You just watch the video at full speed, as though you're a linesman, maybe with an additional camera or two. But you watch the video at full speed like a linesman does, and you make a decision that way. No lines, no nothing. Just watch it and decide. That's interesting too, but that's going to lead to some mistakes. Yeah. And some lines are going to be drawn, and people are going to go ape shit. But
I'd want at least
there will be some changes. I just don't know what they are.
I'd want at least a half speed on it.
Yeah, there you go. That makes sense. Maybe it's a half speed, because these guys are so quick and so good that full speed might be tough to do. But
I'll tell you, Bryan,
people going crazy about this millimeter stuff.
I feel terrible for Timo Pukki. He had a great run this week and scores a goal. And if he had just changed his body position just a little bit, I mean, we're talking, again, millimeters on his run, he's onside. He got caught in the whole armpit deal, and I still think he was onside, or at least even with the back line. And that guy, man, he's aching for, he's aching for another goal, man. It's just frustrating. Well, Norwich is aching for him to get a goal so they can get more money for him. But
yeah, that's true, especially if they go down. So.
But still, heck, we still have half the Wolves match to talk about. So second half, we see a much different Wolves side. They have a lot of chances, but just can't finish. So Bryan, I'm marking it up. I just think both teams are flat out exhausted, and they both put in kind of mediocre second half performances. What do you think?
You're right. I mean, we looked very tired. Hell, I was tired. I'm just sitting at the pub and it's stressful. It's only 1-0, and you can see our midfield's getting tired, and it wasn't a pretty second half. And like you said, their finishing was terrible, and they had plenty of chances to equalize. We didn't really have a ton of chances to get our second. I wanted that second goal bad. I was talking with Bobak about it. Like we really need the second goal. It's like, oh yeah, we'll win 2-0. We'll win 2-0. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll take that. And it just didn't come. But there were some nervy moments, and they had some bad finishes. And I can't remember. I think Allison had a save or two, but he wasn't flying through the air and picking stuff out of the top corner, tipping it over the bar, nothing like that. They were taking shots that were hurting small children, 20 rows back. But one guy they did bring on, though, was this rugby player dude they brought in. And that dude's scary.
Yeah, let's talk about him for a second, Bryan. So a lot of talk. I mean, Klopp even mentioned him in his press conference, and we were talking about him at Union Jack. Adama Traore, built like a linebacker, Used to not be that way, so let's check the HGH. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, he went.
I actually don't know what was his physique when he was younger, or what, even a couple years ago. Was it?
He just looked. He looked average. He looked average. Yeah.
Really?
At least when he was wearing Barcelona.
He looked average. Sorry, define average for me. He looked like Ronaldo average with these big thighs, or did he look average like Bobby or something?
No. He looked like I'll say Colatore.
Wow.
Average.
Well, this dude's big. Like
so
everywhere,
we're talking. He is built like he could play linebacker, but I think he's only 5'9". But he
for
went,
European listeners, I think he's a fly half or a prop or something, whatever the rugby positions are.
So he goes through
them all.
He goes through La Masia and starts as a pro with Barcelona B, but did see a little bit of first team action with Barcelona A. After that, he went to Villa in the Middlesbrough and then lands at Wolves. Bryan, he's only 23, man, and he is built on the bulk. Klopp spoke of him favorably in his press conference. Would you take this guy at your club? Now, granted, let's not say that he's going to come in and start, and he's 23, so there's still a lot of time to develop, but we also don't even need to play him as an attacker. Say he comes in as Trent's backup at right back.
No.
He has a 97 pace on FIFA, and that's his regular card. His Team of the Week card, or whatever it is, the special cards, has him at 98 pace. I don't think I've seen a 98 pace on FIFA.
He's certainly fast.
He's fast, and he could bump a dude off a ball with a shoulder tackle.
He could break a guy in half.
He could break a guy in half
tackle.
with a shoulder bump. Yeah, shoulder to shoulder,
right.
Bump the guy. Owen would end up in row 7.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. But he's not an outside back. I mean, Mo Salah's fast, but he's not a replacement for Andy Robertson. There's a reason for that.
Okay,
it takes a certain type of player to play in a back line in this league, and it takes a certain type of player to play, the back line in this system. I don't think he's a good enough passer to play back there. But at first, I kind of thought, no, I don't want this guy. I remember watching him play a little bit here and there, and some match of the day stuff, or Wolves matches on in the background as I'm waiting to head to UJ's, or if I'm on the way home or whatever it was. In the background, meaning I'm kind of casually watching it, right? So his finishing was always a little bit inconsistent for me, but he's young, so that's something that could get a little bit better. Klopp certainly likes the guy. There's a lot of attention, and I don't want to say just rumors. This is legit attention that Klopp would take the guy. So I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. Would I take him? Sure. I'll take anybody that Klopp wants. He's proven himself to be a brilliant, evaluator of talent, and their scouting system has done a great job for years and years.
Brian, he lines one
start.
up.
He might be the new Shaqiri.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's originally what I was thinking. Play him in a wide. He could be Shaqiri. He could be Mo Salah's backup, or Kylian Mbappe's backup. And whether there are fresh reports of that this evening. But anyway, he lines one up, and he's top of the box. He lines one up, and if Virgil doesn't get a leg to it, that he had some power behind that one. Virgil might have a bruise on his leg from it. I mean,
that was on goal. That was in stoppage time, right?
Yeah, it was in stoppage.
One corner that Virgil cleared, and then he called full time. But
yeah,
which Neville was doing the announcing? Was it? I think it was Phil, because it didn't sound like dumbass Gary.
I don't know.
I think it was the Neville, and I could be wrong about that. But whoever's doing the color commentary says, "Oh, great defending by Robertson," when it was Virgil that blocked it, which was kind of stupid. But
there was a lot of power. I mean, gosh, Allison's dead to rights in that. I mean, he there's no way he's stopping that.
If he hits it hard and it's into one of the two corners, that's an equalizer. So
if it hits his hands, he let his hands it. Might break his wrist. That ball was moving.
Yeah, he's a good player. So my worries about his finishing might be unfounded, and trust in Klopp. That's for sure.
Trust in Klopp. I wouldn't mind seeing him. We'll just leave it at that. All right. So let's
start. Numbers to get, like 72 or something really weird, like a USL player or something.
23. Do we have a 23? That's Shaq. Never mind.
Yeah, Shaqiri's got 23.
69.
See you later,
okay. Neil Chalupa number. All right. So Brian, looking ahead, next match is on this coming Thursday, January 2nd, against Sheffield United. So, a Sunday to Thursday, it's a decent amount of recovery. Hopefully gives the boys a couple days off, rest those legs a little bit. So, Brian, what do you think about this Sheffield United match?
I've hardly even thought about it. I mean, I know they've been playing well. They're really one of the surprise teams in the league. They dropped down to 8th because they lost against City right after we beat Wolves. But I never thought they'd be 8th at this point. They have a positive goal difference at +4. They're interesting. They're dynamic. We've talked about them before. They have 2 center backs like flying up the field at almost like Trent and Rabo do, kind of whenever they want. It's one of the two, not both of them, but they're interesting. They'll play like a 3-4-3 sometimes, and I see him as a breath of fresh air in this league. It's different, it's unique. I kind of like them. I hope we turn them over 3-0 at the half and we can rest some guys. I hope I'd rather have that happen than just for fun have it be a nail biter or watch them do their craziness or whatever it is. But I don't know that much about their supporters or the history of the club. They're called the Blades, and Liverpool has a connection to Sheffield, and just from Hillsborough, and that's Sheffield Wednesday Stadium. But it's interesting, and they've had some decent results, and they're in a pretty good position right now. But we're the team that's won 18 out of 19 matches and flying right now. So I think we'll get the 3 points, and I don't think it'll be super easy because we played a lot of games lately. I don't think it's going to be, we're not just going to just roll right over them because we've had a week and a half of rest. I mean, I think fatigue might be a factor, but I'm calling for 3 points. What do you think about this match, Joe?
Yeah, I think I think my main question is how do we line up, because we also have to keep an eye on Sunday match against FA Cup tie against Everton, and we don't want to lose Everton. It's at home, first of all. That's the big thing for me. We don't want to lose that home win record, especially against Everton. And so I can see actually Klopp making a few changes to give a couple guys some rests. I thought Lallana, seriously, I mean, we were joking about it first half. I thought Lallana, as you said, was a Walmart donut. Not very good.
Yeah, he did not have. That means he did not have a good first half.
Second half, he was on for a half hour. I think
he
got
was not
subbed right
long
about
donut
60
in the second half, but he was good.
Yeah, he was better. I could see Klopp giving him a game against Sheffield.
Against Sheffield, I can see him more maybe against Everton, but I think you're on the right track about some changes.
I think he's going to go strong for Everton. I think he's going to go strong because he wants it, and I think we have a little bit more of a break after Everton too, so there's a little bit more recovery time. So yeah, and plus I think we'll get to Everton in a minute. So I think Jordan Henderson might be due for a break. I think Gini Ronaldo might be due for a break. I think that's probably why Kaita rested on the weekend, is because he had him earmarked for Sheffield United. I don't know if you play Adam Lallana. I think I'm probably going to see James Milner in the midfield. Front three, I think maybe if Shaq's healthy, I think he's probably going to start. He's going to give Mo a day off. I think Origi might be an early sub. I know Klopp doesn't do it a lot, but I don't see him. I don't know if he might start Origi and Shaq.
Origi will start one of the two matches for sure, either Sheffield or Everton. I think
I want him to come on as a sub for Everton because,
do you?
Yeah, I mean, come on, he did when Jordan Pickford T-Rex stormed it.
Well, yeah, I mean, we play, as you said, Sheffield on the 2nd, which is Thursday. Everton in the FA Cup on Sunday at Anfield. Then we don't play again until Saturday, so we'll have 5.5 days there, almost 6 days, and that match is against Spurs at their place. And then we have 7 days off after that, and we play United on January 19th on Sunday at Anfield. So this is the last kind of mad rush of games, 3 in the span of 8 days, whatever it is. So definitely some rotation. I think we'll definitely put out a stronger side against Sheffield than we will against Everton, don't you think? The league compared to the FA Cup has lost some of its luster. I don't want to not try to win it.
One of the few managers that Klopp,
Sheffield are better than Everton.
But see, one of the few managers that have beaten Liverpool in the past year is now coaching Everton.
So what? You
go in that Klopp doesn't want to lose. Klopp
that means he also has to coach Everton's players.
True, But Everton are going to come for blood. They haven't won at Anfield since 1999, I think, and that's in all competitions. I don't see Liverpool wanting to give that up, even though it means more games later in the season. I just don't. They'll go strong because it's Everton, and then play the U23s in the next round against.
I'll tell you, I've been lucky with my braces lately. I will say Harvey Elliott with a brace against Everton on Sunday.
There you go. All right. Okay.
If he's fit, I think he's been hurt, but
so how do you feel?
Was talking about that. I forget. He'll have a brace from, I don't know, from the bench. Who knows?
So do you? So what do you think about Ancelotti as Everton manager?
It's a weird one. I mean, he's gone to, generally speaking, kind of big clubs with some established players and a bit of a budget and some moderate success. Maybe not right then and there, but weren't too far away from success, and can kind of turn some things around. This seems like a weird appointment to me. It's almost, is he doing just to get back in this league and try to move to a different club quickly? And I don't know what to think of it. It seems really weird to me. Am I crazy here, or off the mark, or what have you been reading about it or hearing about it? What do you think?
They said he interviewed for the Arsenal job, and that would have made sense.
Yes,
except for the fact that Arsenal doesn't like to spend money. Yeah. And that's the other thing, is that Ancelotti usually goes to clubs with deep pockets. Everton has deep pockets. But they were talking about some other teams. They're talking about other teams on the continent that he was talking to as well. So I don't know. This is a head scratcher for me. I have no idea why. He interviewed with Liverpool before we talked to Jurgen Klopp, or at the same time that Liverpool talked to Jurgen Klopp. He has a lot of respect for Liverpool, unless he's doing this to help Liverpool somehow.
There's some great quotes about him when he was at Milan, right, where Anfield is a special place, and they're wonderful there. It's just really kind of laying it on thick about how great the Cop is, and there's some memes and that floating around social media about how great he thinks Liverpool are now he's the Everton manager. So that to me is hilarious.
Maybe he thought he was good. He'd be able to step in if they were like the U23s for Liverpool.
Well, he was. I mean, there's nothing wrong with angling for a potential future job, but I don't know that anyone's ever said anything like that about Goodison Park to try to get to work there someday.
Yeah, I know. It's wild.
Maybe some hot dog vendors or something.
The tea room ladies.
Some ticket touts.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. But
actually, you know what it is? It's the parking lot attendants. So when they try to park cars, when Liverpool's playing at home and Everton's away, they park the cars over there and people walk across Stanley Park. That's the job they're trying to get at Goodison, is Liverpool supporter car parking.
All right, Brian, so let's start wrapping it up. You do not want to sing the plug non-plug theme song?
I don't. We like a lot of Liverpool supporters were thinking about what might be this spring, and I kind of stupidly sent Joe a song about what might be that spring, sung to one of the famous tunes that the Cop sings, and it's all about what might be. No, I can't. We can't do that yet. I just.
All right, we'll save it for after.
If you know what, you have a recording of it, so if you sneak it in there on me, I can't control that because. I'm chained up here in the podcasting closet, and I don't ever get to come out. So, what you do is with the computer, I have no control over. But I don't even remember the words to sing it live. To be honest with you, I just kind of made it up.
Do you want to sing your Chicago song?
No, because we have more points than that now.
True. All right, never mind. All right, so moving on to plugs, non-plugs. Brian, you're up first, man, and I have that one. If you want to use it, you can.
I'm actually plug and non-plugless. I'm going to have to wing this. So I do have one non-plug, is just a lad that was at Union Jack who was supporting a team that was playing before us. And I don't know if you heard him ask me, but he says, has Klopp announced his sabbatical yet? And I'm like,
yes.
What?
Yes.
He always takes a sabbatical. And I said, he signed an extension like a month ago or, 3 weeks ago, whatever. What are you talking about? He always takes a sabbatical. He's going on a sabbatical. I said, he signed an extension. I don't here we are talking about managers of other clubs and players of other clubs, and we don't know everything about this league, and no one ever will, and I certainly don't. But I was shocked that this guy who supports a team in the top 10 of this league, who has been successful lately, was just oblivious to the fact that Klopp's going to be around for a little while. That just struck me as really strange. So now I'm plugged to that. That just, I don't know, that was really weird. As far as plug goes, I just want to plug all the Indy Reds who have been coming to watch matches at UJ's, and I see new people there every single week. It's great. So, I know this podcast plays a small role in that, and meeting people that know about the podcast, and shout out to Christina, an Indy Red from back in the day who lives out in Iowa now, who tells us, she was at Union Jack with her husband. I guess I would just call her doctor because she's a doctor now, I believe. Yeah,
she is.
Telling us that, some folks out in Iowa at the OLSC just received official Liverpool Supporters Club status out, I believe, in Des Moines is where they're based. So hello to all the guys and ladies out in Iowa that are listening to us and watching the Reds, and congratulations on reaching OLSC status and YNWA from all the Indy Reds.
Oh, yes, definitely. Congratulations. Bryan, you mentioned about that match. I forgot to check my status of podcast cards, but I have a new job for Ben Dilling when he comes to games. He gets to go hand out a card to every single table.
I like it. I didn't bring any with me. He came up and asked me, do you have any cards? And I said, I didn't bring it with me.
I was low.
But yeah, that's a good idea.
So
Ben is Joe's boy, and he'd be good at that.
He loved it. He was so wanted to hand out more. All right, so I'm going to start with non-plugs. So Manchester United Indianapolis group, whoever's running their Twitter account, they're trying to create banter, but they're bad at it. And it's just they don't know facts. They try to say stuff. Their group is a bunch of idiots to begin with. As I spoke with a senior person that we've known for a long time, who is a lifelong Manchester United supporter, they have said things and sung things that cross the line. Like, for instance, we would never sing songs or talk about Berlin as Liverpool supporters, but they have crossed the line on other things.
Or Munich, you mean?
Or that's what I meant, Munich. I keep saying Berlin, but yes, Munich.
It's all right.
And they've crossed the line. They just need to get put in their place. Just I've blocked them because there's no reason even trying to have a conversation with them because they're complete idiots. So if you're a Manchester United fan in Indianapolis, you deserve better. Demand better. So moving on to plugs, I want to plug Union Jack and beautiful Broad Ripple. Great teamwork on the weekend as well as on Boxing Day. I'm going to see you guys 2 times this week. The next 2 matches, I'm going to be there, or be square. I have, which leads me to another plug that tomorrow's my last work day until the 7th of January. So I'm pretty excited about that. And also, I want to plug that it was great to see Scott Stewart from the USL was at Union Jack Pub in beautiful Broad Ripple on Sunday. Scott, if you haven't been listening, great to see you, man. We miss you. For those of you that don't know, Scott was originally he was one of the first OLSC Indy guys too, right?
He was. He was one of certainly the first dozen or so, if not before that. But then he was also the first communications manager at Indy 11.
Yeah, first communicate. Well, second he was John Kaluter and then Scott Stewart.
Oh yeah,
he was
that's
an intern.
Right. But then he's since moved up to the USL,
home office in Tampa.
Yeah. So he's working at the league level now. So
great for you, Scott. Seriously, I don't know if we ever said that we were happy for you, but I truly.
He's already more important than Everton. Good to see him as well.
All right. So anyway, so thank you all for tuning in and downloading. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. Thank you, Bryan, for coming on and co-hosting. If you guys want to get a hold of us, the contact information is going to be in the podcast notes. This is Joe Dilling signing off for episode 103 of the Indy Reds podcast. You'll never walk alone.